There is a lot more confidence surrounding Deion Sanders in Colorado heading into 2024. But can they overcome a slow start? Can they overcome injuries? I'm going to talk about that and my other concerns about the Buffs in 2024 on today's episode of Locked On Buffs.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Who doesn't love free things? I'm talking about my 4 biggest worries about surrounding Colorado and Coach Prime in 2024 because I feel like there's a lot of buzz and I feel like there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the team. They rebuilt the offense line. They rebuilt the defensive line. Excuse me. They bring in all these weapons. They bring in so much talent in the secondary. It's like, what can go wrong? And I'm going to tell you what could go wrong, starting with, which I already mentioned, a slow start to the year. I have 4 worries. I'm going to break them all down, and then you guys could comment below and tell me which worry you worry about the most, or maybe throw out another one. First one, what happens if they start out slow? You look at Colorado's schedule, and I'm going to read it to you right now if you guys aren't familiar with it. They start the season with, and this is a tough FCS matchup. This is like kind of a scary trap game, if you will. And you don't want a trap game week 1, especially if you're Colorado, especially if your coach is Deion Sanders, especially if you are a team that everyone loves to criticize and scrutinize when you fall on your face. And this is the prime, no pun intended, game where Colorado could fall on their face. You look at this week 1 matchup against North Dakota State. North Dakota State, if you guys aren't familiar with their game, and let me tell you, they're physical. They're always good. They're pumping out NFL talent more than people realize. They are the Alabama of the FCS level. They win championships all the time. I think they have like 9 championships in the past 11 years or something like that. They are ridiculously good. They are a scary team to play. They've beaten Power 5 teams before. They've beaten, I think it was Kansas State or Kansas. They've beaten Iowa State. They've beaten all these teams. And it's just one of those things that you do not want to sleep on them. I'm pulling up their record versus Power 5 because it is a lot better than people realize. They have, let me see, they are 9-3 against FBS opponents. They beat Kansas, Minnesota, Colorado State. Obviously, these are all in years past, and it's just a scary thought to start your season with what I would consider, if you know ball, if you follow college football, it's not respectable, but it's like, that's a good North Dakota State team. It's not shocking. But they've beaten Minnesota, Colorado State, Kansas State, Iowa State, number 11 Iowa, and then they've also beaten programs like Ball State and Central Michigan. So they are not new to ruining people's seasons. They're not new to playing up to their competition. If Colorado starts off slow, say they lose to North Dakota State, say they lose to Nebraska, then they're sitting at 0-2. They have a tough road game at Colorado State. Colorado State kind of got the best of them last year. I don't want to say Colorado didn't deserve to win that game, but they did not play that well until the very end. We'll say they lose the first 2, win that one, lose against Baylor, and then all of a sudden you're heading to Orlando and you're 1-3. You have a tough matchup against the UCF team, who I think is going to be pretty solid. They got KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, the quarterback, who's one of the better dual threat quarterbacks in all college football. If they start off the season 1-4, they have a brutal, absolutely brutal stretch brutal into their season, because then they go bye week after UCF, Kansas State, who will be ranked, Arizona on the road, who will be ranked. They could probably realistically lose both of those games. Then they play Cincinnati. You could be heading into November with just 2 wins on the year. That's the worst case scenario. And I think that's one of my worries for Colorado, is if they get off to a slow start. How do they handle it? What is like the adjustment period? What is the move Coach Prime makes if they get off to another slow start? Or if they get off to a slow start, sorry, not another. They start off fairly quick this past season. So if they get off to a slow start, how do they respond? What are the adjustments? And that takes me to my next point. In-game adjustments. There were moments in games last season where I felt like the in-game adjustments were really good. And then there were in-game moments last season where I thought the adjustments were terrible. Games where they were good, USC, they almost came back. Now, obviously, there was some game management stuff that really hurt them at the end there. They were out of timeouts, and Shador was calling for run play, or allegedly, Shador was audibling to run plays, and they just were not really managing the clock as they should have. But the second half adjustment was much better. They forced Caleb Williams to turn the ball over. They were forcing the USC offense to kind of struggle and not really move down the field as fast as they were, or as much as they were. Then I look at a game like Stanford, and it's like, okay, you're up 29-0, right? Great. Great game plan. You're beating this team up. And then I see the videos after the game in the or after their, like, the well-off media stuff. And it's like halftime. They're talking about getting the backups in. And it was just a complacent mindset, and they put out a complacent game plan. They did nothing to ensure that they were going to win that game. And there was no adjustments to figure out how to stop what Stanford was doing. Alec Iomanner, the wide receiver who had, I think, like 15 career catches coming into the game, he went for 13 catches, like 290 something yards in the second half alone, and overtime. But in the second half and overtime alone, he basically surpassed his career mark. Excuse me. And so it's like, how can you go from being up 29-0, having everything clicking, to being like, okay, we actually don't have an answer for anything. So that's cool. Then you look at Colorado State. I think Colorado State had the momentum, and they had some nice adjustments there on offense. Realistically, the defense was what it was. It was pretty bad. Arizona State, same thing. They were playing tough defense. That Arizona State defense was. Sean Lewis's offense made some adjustments. They scored. This year in the Big 12, I think I see Baylor's usually physical and has a stout defense in most years. We'll see how they are next year. Kansas State is going to be a run-dominant team with a quarterback that can huck it with the best of them. Their defense is always fairly solid. Arizona, they have one of the best quarterback and wide receiver duos in the country. Texas Tech is going to be really solid. Utah, good defense, good offense. Kansas, good offense. Oklahoma State, really good defense. How is Colorado? How is Coach Prime, who has two new coordinators, one of which is a defensive coordinator who has never coordinated a defense? How are they going to adjust to adversity? How are they going to make these in-game adjustments to make sure that they can stay in games, get back into games, or win these games outright? Because they obviously need to figure out a way to kind of blend this all together. A winning team is a team that could adjust. And can Colorado do that? Pat Shurmur has experience. Can he make the adjustment when needed, though? He likes to huck the ball around. Can he rely on the run game when needed? Can he get the run game going? Robert Livingston, can he get things going on defense? Can he make adjustments to, say it's a dominant running team and they're just shoving it down Colorado's throat? Can he make those proper adjustments? So we'll have to wait and see for that. Abilities to stop the run. This is my third concern. I just look at this Big 12 stable of running backs, and I'm like, Oklahoma State has Ollie Gordon. He's probably the best running back in college football. He is a dog. He will run you over. He will run past you. He does everything the right way. Kansas, they have Devin Neal. Really good running back over there at Kansas. I think he is someone who is, I don't want to say an underrated running back, but he is someone who I think a lot of people need to look out for. This past season, I'm pulling up his stats right now. This was his second 1,000-yard season. He led all Big 12 rushers with more than 100 carries. He also caught 24 passes, and he's going to be an absolute menace for defenses all season. So they have him. Utah has a stable of running backs. They have a guy like Mike Mitchell. They have Michael Bernard. They say his name interestingly. It's like Macabre Bernard or something. Either way, I'm going to say Micah. I don't remember the pronunciation off the top of my head. But they have him. They have Jaden Glover. They got another transfer running back. Arizona, they had a really good run game last year. Kansas State prides themselves on their run game. Plus, they have a dual threat quarterback. And that same thing with Kansas. Very dual threat quarterback. UCF, good, one of the best running backs in the country, and KJ Jefferson. Baylor loves to run the ball. North Dakota State's going to run the ball. Colorado needs to figure out how to stop the run game if you're not picking up what I'm putting down. Now, obviously, I talked about their defense line the other day. I think that they could be a much improved unit. You bring in a guy like Anquin Barnes, who's ginormous. He could plug up the middle if he gets, if he reaches his potential. You got Torian Carter from Arkansas, big body, played a lot, very experienced, great. You have Shane Cokes. Don't know where he fits in this defense now, but he's someone who could play a lot. Amari McNeil is one of the best holdovers from last season. I thought he was one of the more underrated additions or one of the more underrated players last season. We just didn't have a lot to talk about positively about the Colorado defense because they were getting torched every week, but they have so much talent up front. Quincy Wiggins will be up there. They have so much talent, and it's like, how do these guys make sure that they can stop the run? And then, fourth and final concern, injuries. Obviously, this isn't really something you could control outside of the injury gods being kind of kind to you, the football gods, if you will. Not sure what your denomination is, but everyone knows there's football gods out there. But yeah, realistically, injuries are a thing, are part of the game, but you never want them to happen to key players. You don't want them to happen to anybody. But is Colorado a team that has enough players to, or guys? Like, I'm not saying they're not gonna have enough players roster wise, but are they gonna have enough dogs? Are they gonna have enough guys where it's like Shedeur Sanders goes down? What does their quarterback situation look like? Because he did go down last season, and at first it was horrendous. The Washington State game was, I literally turned the game off, and then I turned it back on for obviously work reasons. But that was just a bad game. And then Utah, Ryan Stott played quite well. If Shedeur goes down, who comes in? Who can kind of right the ship? Who could lead the offense? Travis Hunter is a great dynamic athlete, one of the best college football players I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm 24 years old, and I would say he's probably one of the best. I don't want to say like career wise, but in terms of like, he's that guy and he's going to make plays. He's one of the best I've seen. What happens if he goes down? Do they have the corners to step up? Can the receivers step up? Travis Hunter hasn't played a full season in college football yet. I'm not wishing injury upon anyone. I'm just saying things happen. Offensive line, they bring in all these guys, right? Injuries happen. Who is the next guy to step up after one of the linemen goes down, or if a lineman goes down? Who is that next guy that they're confident enough to bring in and be like, okay, we lost so-and-so, but it's okay because we have this person. So those are my 4 concerns. Comment below what your biggest concern is, because we all got them. Regardless if you think the team's going to go 12-0 or 1-12 or 1-11, you have to assume that something could happen, and it's just football. Things happen. There's concerns. You guys comment below what your biggest concern is, and we'll discuss in the comments. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for your retirement, you could still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Global Market Research. Again, go to robinhood.com/boost. This episode of Locked On Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Fire TV. Fire TV is a destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick TV that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date in all the latest of the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day, making me a part of your weekly thing, your daily thing. I appreciate all the support that you guys give me. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers. We're at like 12. We're 12 away. We are 12 away. The countdown is getting closer and closer. Let me make sure I have the updated number, because I know you guys like to see me thrive, and we're 5 away. We're 5 away. The number is going down, down, down. 5 subscribers away from 5K. I appreciate you guys and all the support you give me. We're talking about Coach Prime's fame now, and you're probably like, yeah, he's famous. End of the segment. No. Coach Prime is the most famous coach in college football right now. I would say if he turns this program around, he will be the face of college football. If you're Colorado, you want 2 things to happen. You want him to turn this program around because obviously you want to be a winning football program. You want to be able to kind of be a wanted commodity in the conference realignment realm. I know things are settling down from now with the new playoff and stuff, but we all know it's like I said yesterday. It's kind of like the playoff and conference realignment. It's kind of like your roommate where you guys talk to him and it's like, okay, dude, we really need you to do your dishes and we need you to keep your space clean. He's like, dude, yeah, I will. We're good. And then he keeps it clean for like a month. And then like a month later, he's like, it's fine. Kevin will clean it up or whatever. That's the same thing with the playoff. It's the same thing with conference realignment. And Colorado needs to be in good standing when that rolls around. So having a Coach Prime coach team that is successful will only help. If you guys weren't aware, he was on the Jimmy Fallon show. I don't know what it's called. I know it's one of those shows, but he was on the late night show with Jimmy Fallon and he was just kind of doing his thing. And it really stood out to me because it's one of those things, the Tonight Show. Sorry, I'm not a very late night TV person, so I confuse all the Jimmys. It's one of those things where Coach Prime's on there and he's giving pep talks to cardboard cutouts of him. I think The Rock was on there, Caitlin Clark, and it was just like a fun little thing. And it was just really cool to see. And if you're Colorado, you want him to use his fame for good. And obviously he's using it for greatness, but you want to see him use it for Colorado in the sense that he needs to recruit at a higher level in terms of more quantity. I talk about it all the time. The blue chip ratio is a real thing. Teams that win championships are the teams that have the most 4- and 5-star recruits. We have yet to see a team made up of mostly transfers win it all. And until that happens, I'm going to say they need to recruit the high school level at a higher clip. It's just what the proof in the pudding. They say there's proof in the pudding. The pudding is telling us this. And I like that he's using his platform as much as possible. Coach Prime is probably the most marketed coach in college football. And I don't think a lot of people consider how valuable that is. I think when you have a coach as famous as he is football-wise and as famous as he is social media clout-wise, it helps draw in attention. It helps draw in this talent. And so he was on there. It was a great, great watch. Go check it out. But I see it as an opportunity for Colorado. Colorado needs to market the hell out of this guy. They already market him a lot. Need to market him even more. You need to market him in the sense that he is someone who brings a lot to your program, but he could bring even more. Like when you milk a cow, this is a weird comparison. But when you milk a cow on a dairy, you are getting all the milk. You are getting all the milk until there is no milk to get. Colorado needs to make sure that they are getting every perk imaginable out of Coach Prime. They're getting TV attention. They're getting social media attention. They're getting fan support. They're getting merchandise support. They need to get more recruiting support. They need to get all of this attention. It shows exactly why people are bought into this program. So Coach Prime is out here doing his thing. And I think Colorado is doing a great job of marketing him more, or marketing him already. They need to market him more. They need to kind of build on his success. Give him a platform. Give him more NIL money to work with. Give him everything he needs to succeed at Colorado. So that way, there is no other place in college football that could give him the opportunity to succeed there more than he could succeed at Colorado. That's my take on it. You guys comment below. Coach Prime, he's been in the spotlight for his whole life, but he has not been more marketed now than what he is. He has not been more marketed than what he is currently at Colorado. Like he was on TV shows. He was a pundit for, I think it was NFL Network. He had his own reality show, but he has not been more marketed throughout his career than he is right now. And Colorado needs to take advantage of that. They need to use it to their advantage every way they can. So that way they could build their program to a more successful, being a more successful program, which includes NIL, higher recruiting classes, more transfers, highly sought out transfers, and everything in between. Because after Shador and Travis leave, I'm interested to see how things change in Boulder, because those are the faces of the program and you could write off them easily because they're so talented. But what happens when you lose them? So that's my take on that. You guys comment below what you think of all the attention he gets. Is it great? Is it bad? Whatever it may be. I think it's a great thing for Colorado. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Colorado basketball and how so close they are to getting into the tournament, but it all depends on what happens in the next couple hours. But first, a word from our sponsors. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlight is brought to you by our friends over at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. Just like any of the new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were all able to take it to the next level. The Utah State Aggies are obviously this week's Nissan Rogue. This team absolutely surprised us all with a powerful performance against New Mexico, giving them their first outright Mountain West title in program history. They say win life, go Rogue. And that's exactly what the Aggies have done here. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. The Buffs are booming. The Colorado Buffaloes are on the court. They're thriving. They're finding their success. But so they need some things to happen. They're still on the last 4 teams in. They're on that kind of bubble-ish vibe, according to Joe Lunardi. So they need some things to happen. Winning the Pac-12 tournament outright would obviously do numbers. Winning their next game would help tremendously. This is maybe their biggest game of the season tonight. 7:30 Pacific. I think it's 8:30 Mountain. 10:30 for those of you on the East Coast. If you're not in this country, I don't know what your time zone is, but figure it out because you need to support the Buffs. They are going up against a hot Washington State team, number 22 in the country, 24-8. Washington State, let me pull this up right here. They are a team in their last 5 has beaten Stanford. They lost to Washington, which was a tough one because it was like a sellout crowd. It was at home. I think they kind of were looking ahead a little bit. UCLA, they beat them. They beat USC. They beat Arizona, or they lost Arizona State. But they have huge wins over Arizona. They're a hot team. Colorado, hot as they come. They beat Utah last night in convincing fashion. Utah and Colorado were kind of like the 2 last Pac-12 teams where it's like, okay, one of you guys is getting in, the other is not. Which one of you will make a claim for the last spot in the Pac-12 tournament or in the NCAA tournament for the Pac-12? And Utah comes out guns a-blazing, but it didn't matter because Colorado comes out, beats them 72-58, a nice little 14-point win. Big Eddie Lampkin was that guy was balled. 17 points, 12 rebounds. He had the Utah head coach after the game going, yeah, we probably should have doubled him more because we could not contain him. Tristan DeSilva had 14 points. KJ Simpson, 18. Cody Williams, he returned. He had 6 points off the bench. This team, getting Cody Williams back is huge. I don't know where he fits in because they obviously have had to play without him a little bit recently, but this team is trending in the right direction. They need to win this Washington State game. Colorado's favored by 2.5, according to the odds makers, but Washington State has a 51% chance of winning, according to ESPN's matchup predictors. So it's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big battle in the trenches. Washington State is led by forward Isaac Jones, who he's basically a walking double-double. In his last few games, he has had 16.6 rebounds, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 11-5, 6-5, 16-11. Dude is getting things done. So it's going to be an all-out war in the paint. Make sure you're supporting the Buffs. Make sure we're watching this game because this game kind of determines the fate of their season. If they lose, their fate is in the hands of the bracket of the tournament selection committee. If they win, they get to move on and they get to kind of solidify themselves as a tournament team. If they lose, it's probably NIT or a lower seed in the NCAA tournament. So make sure to tune into that. I appreciate all you guys for watching. It's on FS1. Make sure you tune in for that. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs and making me your first listen of the day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. I hope you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. I will see you guys next week. Again, have a safe weekend. Have fun. Stay warm. Stay cold. Wherever you are, enjoy the weekend.